Hey there, how there, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond welcoming you to another Degrassi list. And this time we're going to talk about the 20 saddest moments, saddest timelines in Degrassi history. It was really hard to do the top 20. But thankfully, somebody by the name of, sorry, someone by the name of the user, the Degrassi Reddit flare dreaming about 2+ weeks ago. And for context, this is being taped on February 12th, 2021. Is that basically, in your opinion, what is the saddest storyline to ever be on Degrassi? And gives several opinions. I, of course, didn't butt in because I'm like, well, a lot of people are going to have the sadness. And I'm like, hey, you know what? I can make this a top 20. So I found 19 storylines that truly were good to me. And then I'm like, well, I need to pick a 20th. So I did. So by the way, so this is from 20 to 1. Now, based on how many people said that on the Reddit on that specific Reddit post, is basically a tally mark. And no, everyone who got votes, I'll tell you how many votes each thing gets and all that. So anyway, at the bottom of the list is number 20. And someone said this, and I didn't even realize this. Number 20 is, I'm going to do it this way. Number 20 is Stephanie's decline from Degrassi Junior High. In season 1, Stephanie was basically this brash girl who wanted to kiss boys and make sure she wins student president. But she realizes that she's in too deep, and she realizes that, being president of the student council was more work than she was hoping for. So basically, she got a lot of problems. Thankfully, Vola helped her out, but Vola had some conflicts with Steph, especially when Steph was drinking to try to look more and try to dress to look a bit more adult. Steph promises by season 2 of Junior High that she's going to be a better person, and she kind of is, but then she falls victim to a soap opera star and almost gets raped and all that, and then she goes downhill, especially with the fact that her mother's getting a new beau, and it ticks both Stephanie and Arthur off and all that. But Stephanie was okay. So basically with one vote. Number 19 with one vote. Yeah, that's a 9. That's a 1. Number 19 with one vote was Lucy and Colby, also from Degrassi Junior High. The storyline was in season 2 that Raj was off getting his appendix removed. And then this new substitute, Mr. Colby, takes an interest in Lucy. And Lucy is a little bit naive in a sense. But Lucy basically stops Colby's advances. And then she finds out that Susie, another actress, another black girl, is being groomed by Colby. So she tries to knock Colby down a peg or two. I think she's successful. Number 18, also with one vote. Yeah, I can't do this right. Sorry, I'm trying to do it with fingers so I can do it with fingers. Number 18 is... Where did I put it? Number 18. Number 18 is Snake's Cancer. That's it. Okay. So Snake's Cancer storyline. It was sad in season 3. I mean, Snake basically in season 3 was past the fact that he married Spike, and now has a boy named Jack. Unfortunately, Snake realizes something's wrong with his health and basically tells Emma not to worry, but Emma has to worry. And Snake finds out he has leukemia and basically goes through a couple of weeks of not being on the show and basically, being sick and all of that. And thankfully, Joey cheers him up by getting Wheels involved. Now, of course, Snake and Wheels had a falling out because of Wheels' actions in School's Out, that Degrassi High movie. But Wheels tells Snake, I know what it feels like to kind of die, because he was in prison for so long after what happened to that girl. He wanted to die too. And then they all realized that they need a bond. So Snake forgives Wheels for his actions. And basically, he has high hopes, and basically his cancer goes back to remission. I don't think they really mentioned that after season 3, though. Number 17 with one vote was BLT and Michelle from Degrassi High. If I remember correctly, Michelle in Junior High was basically this very sociable, quiet person who rarely talked about things and basically, was scared to do an oral presentation in front of the class for English. But Mr. Radish encouraged her. Michelle and BLT had problems. You know, Michelle was white, BLT was black. Michelle's dad basically didn't like anything to do with it. And basically, Michelle's dad thought he needed to control Michelle. Michelle basically was listening to his dad and all, her dad and all that. So, yeah, it was sickening. Like, you know, getting worried about interracial racial couples. Basically, by the time Degrassi Next Gen hit, it wasn't that big of a deal. Number 16 is Craig's bipolar thing. That also got one vote. So basically put, Craig, in season 4, you knew there was something fishy about it. Because when Craig got invited to Ashley's dad's gay wedding, basically Craig wanted to be with Ashley, make sure Ashley loses her virginity to Craig. And basically, Craig and Ashley are back together. I mean, Craig couldn't make it work with Manny for some reason, and basically he felt he needed to go with Ashley. And Ashley was not that bad towards Craig. So basically, Craig loses it and acts all weird and all that. He steals Joey's credit card. He basically buys clothes for himself. He basically announces to Ashley's family that she and him are going to get married, but Ashley basically denies it, saying that Craig is delusional. Snake tells Joey something's fishy with Craig, and he calls it on the nose because, you know, Craig's dad had issues like that. And yes, Craig's dad is on the list. So basically, Craig is finally diagnosed being bipolar. Ashley stays by his side. But Craig has issues, especially at the end of season 4, that he gets off his meds and is in the boiler room. Number 15 is Ellie cutting herself. Now we're getting to the ones that had 2 votes in it. So Ellie's cutting in season 15. In season 3, we learned that Ellie's dad is going to the military. Ellie's mom is an alcoholic mess, and Ellie basically is stressed out dealing with her mom and a co-op placement. So she gets a math protractor, I guess, and starts slicing herself and all that. Paige thankfully saves Ellie from herself and basically tells Ellie she needs to get help. Basically, yeah, that was huge. It did cause controversy in Canada because in Montreal, some girls found that they're cutting themselves would alleviate pain thanks to Degrassi being on CTV and all that. That was a bit of a problem. Like, Ellie never fully recovered from it, but she did recover from it to be with Sean, and then basically Sean left for Wasaga Beach in season 4. Ellie had issues. Number 14 is Allie and Leo, also got 2 votes. So basically, Allie and Leo were a love story in France. Allie and some classmates were going to France and basically, you know, on a love trip. And Allie falls in love with Leo and then somehow marries Leo and sneaks Leo from France back to Canada. It's like, what the heck, Allie? Do you know how much trouble you will be in for taking someone in illegally? But Leo is basically a little bit overprotective of Allie and basically doesn't want Allie being smarter than him or something like that. He makes up these phony excuses. Allie gets smacked by him a couple times. And then basically, you know, she keeps giving him a chance, but 30 strikes her out, and Leo gets told off to the police. I think Allie faces some kind of criminal charge too because of how he was illegally moved to Canada, but I wonder how they work that out. But yeah, poor Allie. I feel bad for her. And she was on a redemption song because, you know, she was basically made in season 10 to be a terrible person. She ran away to Johnny DeMarco's university place. Johnny tells Ellie you shouldn't run away from your problems because he was involved in one of the other storylines that we are going to be talking about. And basically, Ellie was fine. Number 13 was... What did I write? It's number 13. I guess Fiona. I guess I didn't fix that. Well, number 13 is Fiona, also with 2 votes. You know, Fiona basically was like... Her major storyline was the twincest with Declan and all that. Because Fiona didn't like Holly J and basically wanted to make sure Declan wasn't anywhere near Holly J. And all that. But that's not a sad storyline. That's a sickening storyline, if you ask me. But basically, she was with Bobby. Bobby basically abused her. Fiona basically tried to cope with alcohol. Bobby was found guilty, I think someone said. But Fiona's alcoholism kind of made her an unreliable witness and caused a lot of troubles. But Fiona, thankfully, bounced back, and then she finds out that she's attracted to Holly J. And it's like, wow, she's attracted to Holly J. Good job. For some reason, Fiona turns gay and all that. I kind of figured that, you know, Fiona to be gay and all that after being abused by a boy. That's just not the right way to do it. But that's just me. Number 12 is Claire losing her baby in season 14. That got 2 votes. So Claire had a lot of stuff happen to her. Basically, they were going to pile stuff upon Claire and see the writers and see how much she can handle it. She was groped by her work boss. She had her parents divorce and all that, and her almost moving to a weed cult. She was having relationships with Eli off and on again. She thought she was pregnant by Drew, but it was by Eli. Basically, season 14, and she had cancer. And a lot of people think that once you have cancer, how the hell are you going to have a kid? Is that possible? It actually kind of is, but the chances of having a kid after cancer decreases at a rate. So basically, yeah, Claire was going to have a boy, and basically with Eli, and basically Claire somehow miscarries, and basically she doesn't know what to do. A few episodes later is when Pill finds out about Claire's miscarriage through the stupid cameras with the audio, and basically Claire smashes up the cameras. Claire losing it is hard. A lot of people hate Claire, but she's been through a lot of issues and all that, and how she got out of it, we don't know. Number 11 is Adam's death. Speaking of Adam, well, they got 3 votes. So we get to the 3 vote ones. And basically, Adam's death was huge. I mean, Claire was going to name her kid Adam after Drew's brother. Now, Adam was transgendered, born a girl as Gracie, and basically wanted to be a boy like Drew, his stepbrother, if you will, if you believe the story. But he faced a lot of pressures from his old school, so he moves to Degrassi. And basically, Adam is all that. Like, not too many people hate on him. Like, Fitz hates on him, and so does Bianca in a sense. But Claire and Eli actually talk to Adam, and Adam tells them about being transgender and all that. And they understand. Now, of course, Mrs. Torres wants Adam to be a girl. Doesn't want Adam to change. But to me, it's probably because, Audra was worried about how her parents were going to think about Adam turning into Gracie. So basically, after Adam makes one more appearance with Gracie, basically, Audra turns herself around and basically accepts Adam for who he is. Adam, unfortunately, had some issues in season 13. He was still with Becky, but actually was with someone else. I say Imogen. I thought it was Marisol, but no, it was with Imogen. But basically, Adam decides to text Becky while driving, saying that Becky's the right one for him. Even though that, of course, Becky's parents are not too pleased because Becky is dating a transgender person and, they're Christian and all that crap. Of course, Adam dies after a texting and driving thing. And basically, it was supposed to be like a PSA. It was sad because, Adam was one of the first transgender characters on Canadian television, and basically they killed him off. I know it was the actress who wanted to leave the show, but they could have done something else with Adam. Jeez. Now we get to top 10 category. And this is where we get to at least 4 people voting in each one. So the following will have 4 votes until I say someone else has 4 votes. All right, so number 10 was Jenna and Casey and, having a baby and the postpartum. Now, Jenna and Casey both were Casey was in the gifted program, and by season 9, Jenna moves in, and Jenna swoops Casey in from Claire's clutches. And of course, Claire's not too happy. But basically, Jenna and Casey have an on-again, off-again relationship. Casey ends up getting Jenna pregnant. Jenna spills the beans on a teen reality show. I think Shantae told her to do it because she would get sympathy for everything, because there's like a lot of tragic backstories. But sadly, though, Jenna doesn't do well. And the episode after she gets, she tells the world she's pregnant, she basically gets booted off. Not because she's pregnant, but because she got lower votes. So I got the sympathy plan. Didn't work, Shantae. Damn you. So anyway, Casey is upset, but then he learns he has to step up the plate with Jenna. They have Tyson, and basically, they have a decent relationship. Jenna lives with her brother. She doesn't really have much family left. And Casey basically decides to use Jenna's words of, you should be playing basketball, against her, and basically goes with Marisol. it's sickening to see Casey basically with Marisol and basically Jenna having to raise the child kind of alone in a sense. There was an incident with a baby and a changing thing. Jenna and Casey both learned that they're only together because of the baby and decided to give it up for adoption so that they both moved on. Jenna moved on with Connor and Casey moved to Vancouver because he and his mom had to escape his dad. So good. Number 9 is Zoe's rape trial from season 13. Now, a lot of people hate Zoe in season 13 because of how she manipulated Maya. And basically, Maya does one little retaliation, and Maya's in deep shit and basically could be in trouble with the law. And basically, Maya's mom basically telling Maya not to do anything with Zoe. And basically, Zoe knew that she could get away with it because, you know, she's a reality star and they can spin stories. I kind of hate Maya's mom for it, but I know Maya's mom probably would have said that you should be the bigger person. Oh, come on. So anyway, Zoe ends up going to a party with Luke Baker and another boy actually having sex with her. No big deal. But then it was found out that Zoe had the sex was without her consent, and Becky finds a video on Luke's cell phone. She tells Luke, oh, these things. And basically she goes to the cops with it. Zoe does get her rape trial at the same season that she had it done. And, you know, that was weird because earlier in another storyline I'm going to share, that didn't happen. There was a 2-year gap. But anyway, yeah. So Zoe gets her date in court and the rape thing. And basically Maya does overreact to Miles being with Zoe and basically dumps him off. Because, you know, Maya and Zoe have that rivalry and all that shit. But Becky is the star of the Zoe's rape trial because she's pressured to lie for Luke. Even though that Luke is being incriminated, the family tells her that she has a duty on her. And Luke even says that, you know, I took a fall for you when you lost her grandmother's ring down the sink. However, Becky tells him that the next day she actually took full responsibility. And then Luke tells her this stuff. I mean, Luke should have kept his mouth shut because Becky probably would not have had enough evidence. But Becky basically says this thing. Zoe gets her justice. The 2 boys are in juvie for a couple of years. And Becky's parents basically disown her. I mean, they can't kick her out because obviously then Becky could turn around and all that. I'm just angry that Becky's parents didn't get charged with perjury and all that, and that Becky didn't turn her parents in for that. Because, you know, they would have been in deep trouble. Maybe a massive fine or probation or whatnot for crap. But yeah, like, and Zoe basically using that maybe as a crutch to do her Degrassi nudes to try to get her body back. Oh, that was sad in a sense. Number 8 is Time Stands Still. Now, everyone will be shocked because, you know, I do a lot of videos with Time Stands Still, and yet it's only 8th. Well, A, it only had 4 votes from the Reddit post, and B is that basically the sadness is not as big as the other 7, the 7 above it. Now, as everyone knows, Rick got in trouble in season 3 for pushing Terry's head on a rock, forcing her into a coma, and basically running away. In season 4, he's allowed to come back to Degrassi. He wasn't expelled. He was just pulled out of school by his parents. So basically, he was allowed to come back to Degrassi in the next season. And everyone was just crapping all over this thing. I mean, Rick was trying to get forgiveness. Nobody was willing to give him forgiveness and all that. By the time Time Stands Still happens, basically Rick is still being bullied. Rick still won't tell anyone about being bullied. He does tell Raditch that he wants Jimmy off the Wacky Brain team because, you know, Jimmy's now a teammate and he's bothering him. But he doesn't say the magic words bullying. And Raditch basically takes it as face value and basically tells Rick not to interfere anymore. But Rick does get Jimmy back as a friend. And, you know, the Wacky Brain team wins. He gets painted and feathered by Spinner, Jay, and Alex because not only did Rick retaliate with the spray painting of their cars and all that, but they kind of took Jimmy away from them. So basically, you know, he's painted and feathered. He's angry. He gets a gun. He goes towards Paige, but Paige calms him down without knowing Rick was about to shoot her. And then Rick, you know, has the gun in his locker. He's cleaning himself up. Spinner and Jay basically play everything off as Jimmy is the culprit. I guess because Spinner kind of figured that Jimmy was going to narc on Spinner because Spinner somehow told Jimmy the whole thing about the painted feathers. It was like, Spinner, how stupid can you be? So basically, yeah. So Rick shoots Jimmy and then almost gets Emma, but Sean saves the day. and all that. It's sad in a sense that, okay, Rick died, but he didn't have to die. He could have been put on trial, and then there would have been some repercussions. I think if Rick was on trial, he probably would have said all that stuff about the fact that Spinner and Jay told him stuff, and then Spinner and Jay would have been put in prison and all that. I would have liked that scenario. But it was sad. Like a school shooting is never a happy event. It was sad, and it took a lot out of people. It got people to leave Degrassi, as in Sean left to go to Wasaga Beach to deal with his PTSD, and maybe, just maybe, he feels bad about the fact that he told Jay not to go to Radish with the spray paint thing. But basically, before that, Rick's parents had to leave town, I guess, some kind of settlement, and in the settlement that forced Radish out the door. Emma took a lot of PTSD and basically kicked herself for the Orange Ribbon campaign, but it wasn't her fault. The students took it incorrectly, and Spinner took it hard because he got Jimmy in trouble, and then he went through that redemption arc in season 5, which worked. Number 7 is Wheels. Now, Wheels' parents and all that from Degrassi Junior High. So in season 3 of Degrassi Junior High, Wheels is having troubles with his adoptive parents because they don't like Joey and Wheels hanging out. At school, they can't separate them at school, so out of school. So Wheels says he wants to study when his parents go to a movie. So basically, Wheels is there, and Wheels sneaks off to go see Joey. And then he sees a police car and thinks that the cops were called because Wheels was probably with Joey. But no, his grandmother comes out of the car and basically tells Wheels that they got killed by a drunk driver. And Wheels doesn't know how to process and all that. It's just sad and all that. And then Wheels blows some steam at Joey because, he was at Joey's. And if it wasn't for Wheels and being close to Joey, then basically then his parents would not have been dead. He would have went to the movies with them. And they might not have been dead. But Joey said, but there's a possibility that you could have died too. Like, Wheels couldn't process it. His character changed. He basically used his parents' death for his own advantage to get himself out of situations. He didn't fit in well with his grandmother. And then basically, by school's out, he's an alcoholic who basically was told to get some chips and basically makes a car crash and is sent to jail. Unbelievable. Number 6 is Paige from season 4. Now, they got 5 votes. So this is one that has 5 votes, is Paige, season 4, well, 2 and 4 with her rape and all that. Season 2, Paige met a 17-year-old from Banty named Dean and basically wanted to have sex with him. But Dean raped her. Paige didn't know what to do, and so she goes to counseling and all that, but she keeps the rape kind of secret because she doesn't want to lose her standing and all that. And basically, she decides to press charges on Dean. But unfortunately, it doesn't come to fruition. But season 4, the season premiere, saw Paige finally go to the rape trial with Dean. And basically, Paige does well in her trial, even though Dean's lawyer tries to discredit Paige. It's good, but sadly, lack of evidence and all that crap. And I mean, like, she had sessions with Zoe. Were they not admissible? So basically, Paige is basically devastated that Dean gets off scot-free, and he brags about it. However, Paige gets Dean kicked out of the sorority by saying that Dean raped her. And then Paige decides to crash Spinner's car into Dean's car as a last sign of revenge. All that. Feel so bad for Paige. And then season 4 just snowballed. Like, Spinner was unfaithful to her. Rick came back into her life somehow, and basically her Mr. Olander. I guess it was because of all the crap she was putting in season 4, and she didn't tell people these things. Number 5 is Jane's dad, and this had 6 votes in it. Sorry, yeah, it had 6 votes. So Jane's dad basically, all that. In season 8, when the chef comes back from his forced sensitivity classes, he announces that there will be an alumni football game between Degrassi's football team and alumni and all that, because Degrassi finally has a football team. But Jane realizes that her dad might be back in her life, and then realizes that she hates her dad, but doesn't know why. And then it finally pops up that she basically was sexually abused by him when they went to bed. So basically, the way Jane tells the story is that basically Jane would be in bed, and then her dad would basically undress her, thinking that basically she didn't dress herself right. Lucas had no clue because Lucas was watching TV in the other room and all that. And then Lucas finally realizes that his dad is bad, so he doesn't want him around his daughter Isabella. So basically, he decides to get trouble. And then there's a family therapy, and Lucas feels bad for the way he treated Jane. But Jane said that they were just kids, and that Lucas is here now, and basically will take good care of them. So basically, yeah, Jane's dad's not back in their life. Jane feels a lot better about herself. And Lucas disappeared after that episode, which ticks me off because I wish he had a better redemption arc. Number 4 was Darcy in season 7. It had, ironically, 7 votes. So Darcy was with Peter. Now, a lot of people said, why was Peter with Darcy? I mean, Peter was known for being arrogant towards his relationships towards Manny, Emma, and Manny. That's right, because Mia was after Darcy went to Kenya. But basically, yeah, Peter people didn't want Peter to have a relationship with someone. So Peter and Darcy basically talk about it. Peter said that Darcy is going to help him become a better guy after realizing what he did to hurt both Manny and Emma. So anyway, they go to a ski lodge, and basically Darcy needs to use the washroom. But sadly, though, someone slips something in her drink, and she gets raped. She thinks she has sex with Peter, but of course she falls downhill. The friendship club kick her out and take her abstinence ring. Darcy decides to slit her wrist in the shower, but Manny finds her before it's too late. And basically, Peter is supporting Darcy. However, Darcy still won't tell anyone about the rape and all that. She basically tells her parents that Snake made inappropriate stances towards her, even though Darcy was the one who was being out of control. Basically, Darcy just didn't want to tell her parents because she was supposed to be this perfect child, if you will. But anyway, yeah, the truth comes out. Darcy finally realizes after how much she ruined Simpson's life that she needs to come clean to everybody. Simpson says that it's great, but it's not going to get Simpson his job back because, well, he's on suspension. But it's because they probably think Simpson said something to Darcy, but Darcy said she said everything and said Simpson said nothing. But anyway, yeah, it takes a while for Simpson to come back to the school and get harassed by the Lakehurst students, if you will. Darcy almost jumps off the roof. Manny, thank goodness, catches her. And basically, that's when Darcy decides to say everything. Darcy is sent to Brad Camp. Peter decides to sign himself up for Brad Camp to help Darcy deal with this. And, Peter does a good thing. And then Darcy goes to Africa in season 8. I still don't know if it was her choice or her parents' choice, but I know Sinead Grimes wanted to delete the show for 90210 and all that. Number 3 is Craig's dad. It also got 7 votes, but I feel this one's a little bit sadder. So basically, in season 2, we get a new character named Craig who actually somehow creepily follows Emma and a girl named Angie who ends up being Joey's kid. And basically, Emma's Angie's babysitter, and Joey's proud that Emma refuses to take a lot of money for babysitting and all that. But Craig follows with his camera and all that. He was once he liked photography. But basically, Craig had a secret. His dad was basically abusive of him and all that, and basically would lash out over false promises about things. And basically, Craig gets hurt. Craig's camera gets smashed. Craig's dad gives him money to get a new camera. Craig decides to use the money to go to British Columbia with Angie, and everyone's worried about it. However, the pieces start to put in as Craig plays chicken with a train. Sean was there. Sean and Emma tell Joey that basically the problem was his dad the whole time. And then when Emma looks at a photo album, basically she realizes that Craig might be going with his mother's grave. His mother's dead. And guess who that mother was? Julia. And guess what the pieces were fit together. Julia was married to Albert, a.k.a. Craig's dad, and basically she left Albert. And Albert is probably using his aggression towards losing Julia as basically being aggressive towards Craig. And all that. But, Julia died, and, Joey was sad and all that. But, Craig moves in with Joey, and then Albert tries to get Craig back, saying he's better, but Albert shows his true colors, and Craig doesn't believe him. Albert dies in a car crash just minutes after his last talk with Craig. Craig doesn't know how to process it. He laughs at Albert's funeral. He cries. He shouldn't be crying because his tormentor is dead and all that. He goes crazy at the luau dance, which he wins the king of luau with Ashley, being the queen, mostly out of sympathy, I guess. But basically, he loses it. And in one of the most poignant positive scenes of Radish is that, Craig's turning down banners and all that, and Radish tells everyone to let Craig get his steam, blow off some steam and all that, because everyone says how bad Radish was. But basically, yeah, Terry calmed Craig down, and Terry had a problem because her mother died while she was at a birthday party. So basically, yeah, she could share Craig's pain and all that. Number 2 is JT, and it got 9 votes on it. I know there's a lot of people saying, well, which one's worse, number 1 or number 2? But JT's death was kind of shocking. Now, JT, a lot of people say JT's death, people are overreacting to this because, JT wasn't really that much of a good character in the first place. Well, the first few seasons, he was a class clown, and then by season 4, he kind of matured. The way he matured was with Liberty, having a relationship with Liberty, because they both were in charge of the school play, which was Dracula, which was cut off by Radish because of its gory nature, and possibly because, and after all, it was just a short while after Rick's death and all that, and Degrassi is being laughed at in a sense. Liberty and JT were told to do a musical. They do a musical number, but it's to insult Radish, saying that, his techniques are wrong and all that. And of course, and then when Radish says you're going to rewrite the play in detention, it also points out one of his character flaws is that basically he doesn't take criticism or constructive criticism too well. Season 4 was a key example because Snake is trying to get Radish to realize that Rick needs help, and Radish blows Snake off not once but twice. Once in the deleted scene, and another time in the piece in the media room when they're trying to comfort Emma. And also when Emma says, we don't want Rick at our school, this is not one of your stupid crusades and all that. Hint of hatred. So basically they do that. And then a couple of days later, Radish is out the door. Although I think Liberty and JT's pleas would have been for naught, because I think the school board decided to get rid of Radish because the students probably feel that it's time to go. So anyway, yeah, they're together. JT ends up fathering a kid. Liberty basically keeps the pregnancy a secret and basically berates JT. And though JT's doing all he can to help Liberty and all that. Basically, JT and Liberty grow far apart. In season 6, JT's with Mia and is in love with the 2-year-old Isabella. That was Lucas's kid. And Liberty seemed jealous and all that. I think she felt angry that she pushed JT away. Of course, JT had his own issues because Lakehurst was upset with him over the fact that, he's dating Mia. And then, they wanted to cause JT some problems. And, JT looks for Liberty after realizing he should be with Liberty. And then Johnny and Drake come in. And Drake, not the rapper, a.k.a. Jimmy, but Drake, the redhead, stabs JT in the aorta. And Johnny's shocked. JT slowly bleeds out and dies. And, the school's sad. Liberty finally shows emotion. Mia, I don't know what her emotions were and all that, and, they even showed Emma having to deal with it. And it's like, well, Emma didn't know JT as much as Toby. Toby handled it by being close to Liberty, but he knew that he couldn't hurt his dead friend. So basically, Emma, and everyone was shocked about how did Emma get involved by this? Well, the stabbing took place steps from her house, and Manny, who was living with Emma at the time because of her strict parents, decides to move back home. And Emma feels like she's lost an ally. And, she's probably got the PTSD that she caught from Rick's death and is upset that Manny's moving on. But the fact of the matter is that Manny, by doing the cheer squad, dealing with the cheer squad and dating Damien, who's from Lakehurst, was probably the problem. If Manny had done neither of them, or basically just calmed Emma down, Emma probably would not have done the go home Lakehurst thing at the cheer competition. But things just kept building. And I think that's the last time Emma and Manny really fought as friends and all that. And number one, no freaking doubt, is someone who had 12 votes, and that was Cam Steph from season 12. I think everyone kind of knew that was going to be number one. I hope you knew it was number one. Anyway, Cam is an icon. And they brought Cam in for one season. Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention about JT is that the actor who played JT wanted to be killed off in a gory style. I mean, as I said, JT could have left the show without a goriness because he was an actor. But anyway, yeah, Cam's actor knew that he was going to be in for a suicide storyline. He was like, okay. So basically, Cam had feelings towards Maya, but he had homesickness because, it's from Kapuskasing, 10 hours north of Toronto. And basically, he's homesick. And it doesn't help that Dallas and the rest of the Ice Hounds basically ride his butt for not playing his best and all that. And, and Sig. Sig is a villain in this, too. Sig is upset that Cam shows signs towards Maya. And I think Sig shows possessiveness and all that. Cam just wants to talk to Maya. I feel like Maya basically was protecting Sig. Maya could have just said that Cam was was prodded by Sig and got Sig in trouble, but Maya refused to say anything bad about Sig. Kind of stupid, don't you think? But anyway, yeah. So Cam is upset about that. Cam and Maya do talk. Cam steals Maya's stuffed owl hoot and wants to give it back in front of the school. But Sig sees him and basically tells Cam, if you love Maya, you get out of her way forever. Possessive piece of shit, if you ask me. So, of course, Cam offs himself in the JT York Memorial Garden, which Eli sees because Eli and Claire were going to have a picnic, and then he sees Cam's gruesome body. And Cam killed himself. We don't know if he slit his throat or hung himself, or even more prominent that could have happened was because the garden center had chemicals, he could have drank chemicals and died. Because I worked one summer in a garden center just before I got into Shoppers Drug Mart and then Canadian Tire. That was 2019. And I can tell you that it makes a little bit of sense. So anyway, yeah, Cam Steph was huge and all of that. Like, everyone was upset. Dallas was basically, he almost threw himself off the roof, but Fiona saved his butt. He was upset. Everyone was upset. Maya, she didn't seem that upset at the thing for Cam. She basically said that Cam was selfish for committing suicide because, she would have helped him. And, Maya to a point was right because the suicide was selfish because Maya felt that she could have helped Cam if he stayed alive. Even though that Sig did admit to Maya that he may have done something to Maya, Maya says, I don't think so. I think he did. Sig should have lived with the guilt. But biggest of all is how they portrayed Maya. Like, Maya, by, I guess, the end of season 12 or start season 13, somewhere, she basically blows off steam at her sister and her mother and basically saying, you can't forget Cam. Why not? He killed himself. I would have helped him. He broke up with me over a text. And I'll never be happy again. Kind of whiny if you ask me. Like, fuck. But yeah, they portrayed Maya, that Maya never forgot Cam, and it cost her dearly. Season 14, it was a big example. She was with Miles. Okay, big deal. But then once Miles gets sick, and then Maya has these dreams about Miles maybe jumping off a balcony because she kind of knew that Cam did. She's like, oh my God, this is the period of repetitiveness that had Cam killed himself. And then, of course, Miles said on social media, I just want to die even though he was sick. Maya breaks into Miles' house and protects him and all that. Maya says that basically, I didn't want Miles to get hurt and all that because Miles had trouble. Basically, her mom and the police officer basically told her that it's okay to be concerned, but don't let this consume your life. Maya then tells Miles that you need help and all that. And, Miles gets help. And then Maya, unfortunately, her depression seems to cool off, and then by season 3 of Next Class, with the bus crash, it gets her thinking all these things. And, when she tries to take the pills and puts the headphones on, and all that. It's a tribute to Cam with his headphones on and all that. Maya falls asleep, but then she wakes up and says, "Oh my God, what am I doing wrong?" And then she decides to jump off the roof. Thankfully, Sig and Esme save her. And that's when the drugs kicked in because Maya didn't give the drugs time to kick in. She was safe, thank goodness for that. And by season 4, she was just recovering and all that with Sig. At least Sig was less of an asshole this time. So yeah, it's weird how one person's death had affected a character for multiple seasons. Say what you want about Emma, with Rick and all that, but that wasn't completely multiple seasons. That was like 1 or 2, but think of all the damage it did to Maya. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.